Welcome back to Adam's Retro Rewind. If you joined us last week, we took a nostalgic ride through the golden era of Saturday morning cartoons. Today, we're going to deep dive into the very beginnings of a franchise that would go on to define childhoods everywhere, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And yes, I said mutant, because apparently being a turtle in a sewer just wasn't edgy enough. But before they were heroes in a half shell, before the pizza parties, awkwardly flipping through the sewer like gymnastics on crack, and epic battles with Shredder, the Turtles were the creation of two artists from Dover, Massachusetts, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. If you love this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. Also, like, share and subscribe to join our retro crew, because whether it's cartoons, comics or classic games, we're keeping the nostalgia alive one Saturday morning at a time. And hey, tell a friend. After all, the more the geekier. It all began in 1983, when Eastman and Laird, both struggling comic artists trained to make a name for themselves, basically two guys who couldn't afford pizza except for inspiration, decided to collaborate on a parody of popular comics at the time. Kevin Eastman had sketched a turtle wielding nunchucks as a joke, a kind of satirical mashup of superhero tropes. Peter Laird saw the potential in the idea and added his own creative touches. Together, they developed a concept that would become iconic. 4 humanoid turtles trained in ninjutsu by their wise sewer sensei, Splinter. Because if a rat can raise a turtle, maybe I can finally finish my DIY shelving project. Eastman and Laird self-published their first comic under the banner of Mirage Studios, a small company they created just to bring this idea to life. In May 1984, the first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 hit the shelves. Unlike the bright, kid-friendly cartoon most people know, this comic was dark, gritty, and satirical. A parody of popular superhero comics, but with a tone and style entirely its own. The black and white artwork captured the rough energy of the story, and the characters were sharper, edgier versions of the heroes we would come to know. Basically, if Batman and a pizza delivery guy had a mutant turtle baby, this is what it had looked like. Despite being a tiny self-published comic, it quickly gained a cult following. People were captivated by the unique blend of humour, action, and creativity. Here were 4 turtles in masks, trained in ninjutsu, fighting crime in the shadows of New York City. But they weren't just fun. They were something entirely new, something that felt alive and rebellious. Basically, everything I aspire to be on a Monday morning. The early comics also introduced the foundation of the Turtles world. Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael, each with their own personality and fighting style. Think of them as the original dysfunctional family sitcom, but with more throwing stars. It also introduced Splinter, the wise mentor and surrogate father figure, and probably the only rat I'd trust to raise a turtle and not steal my snacks. Then there was the Foot Clan, and obviously Shredder, the villains who would become as iconic as the heroes themselves. And yes, despite the name, they mostly prefer hands-on combat. The first 7 issues of the Mirage comics set the tone, showing a more violent, satirical, and unpredictable version of the Turtles than what most would see on a Saturday morning TV later. These pages were where the franchise really began, laying the groundwork for everything that came after: the toys, the cartoons, the movies, and the worldwide phenomenon that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would eventually become. From those humble beginnings on the pages of a small self-published comic, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles began to capture the imagination of fans far beyond Eastman and Laird's expectations. The original Mirage comics were dark and edgy, but their humour, creativity, and sheer uniqueness struck a chord with its readers. What started as a parody quickly became a phenomenon. Basically, comic book turtles taking over the world, one pizza slice at a time. By the late 1980s, the Turtles were ready to leap off the page and onto the small screen. Licensing deals began to bring them to a wider audience, first through action figures and toys, then with video games, and finally through the iconic 1987 animated series. This cartoon softened the gritty edge of the comics, making the Turtles accessible to a younger viewer while keeping their personalities and fun intact. The 1987 show was a perfect storm of nostalgia, humour and action. Each episode introduced viewers to a mix of heroic adventure and wacky comedy, while still honouring the core elements established in the comics. The Turtles weren't just fighting crime, they were having fun, eating pizza and bantering with each other in ways that made kids everywhere want to be part of their world. Honestly, I ate that much pizza, and I do need my own sewer lair. At the same time, merchandising exploded. Action figures, lunchboxes, clothing and posters flew off the shelves. The Turtles weren't just characters, they became a cultural phenomenon. Fans could recreate epic battles in their living room with toys or trade turtle cards and comics with friends. Suddenly the Turtles were everywhere, from playgrounds to arcades to Saturday morning TV lineups. This rapid expansion also introduced new layers to the TMNT universe. April O'Neil, a fearless reporter, became a central ally. The Foot Clan and Shredder evolved into enduring villains, and even Splinter's backstory expanded in later media, enriching the lore that Eastman and Laird had first created. Interestingly, behind the scenes, Eastman's and Laird's friendship faced challenges. With the franchise growing faster than they could control, creative differences began to surface. Eastman eventually sold his shares in the franchise to Laird in 1996, but the Turtles continued to thrive, evolving through new comics, series, and movies. By the end of the 1980s and into the 1990s, the Turtles had firmly cemented themselves as icons of pop culture. From the gritty comic pages of Mirage Studios to Saturday morning screens across the globe, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had become a symbol of creativity, collaboration, and the kind of rebellious fun that makes heroes in masks unforgettable. And let's be honest, if you didn't want to eat pizza while practicing ninja moves after watching this, you weren't really living your best life in the 80s, were you? As the Turtles exploded in popularity, fans naturally wanted to experience their adventures in every possible way. Whether you're a long-time fan or a newcomer, there's a wealth of TMNT media that captures the essence of their world. Let's start with the comics, where it all began. Because, let's face it, the pizza doesn't deliver itself. Some recommended reading is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles numbers 1 to 7, which is 1984 to 1985. The original Mirage comics, dark, gritty, and satirical. Reading these, you'll see the Turtles as Eastman and Laird originally imagined them. Edgy, rebellious, and full of personality. Basically, if your Turtles aren't eating pizza and breaking the law, are they even doing it right? Another great read is the TMNT The Ultimate Collections Volume 1 and 2. This compiles the earliest Mirage stories, including the origins of Splinter, the Foot Clan, and Shredder. Perfect if you want to see how a tiny self-published comic went from rat-infested sewers to your living room, and yes, probably left crumbs on your carpets. The most modern reading is the TMNT The IDW series. A modern reboot dives deep into the lore. Complex villains, new adventures, and character-driven stories honour the originals while adding fresh new twists. Great for new fans, long-time readers, or anyone who has ever thought, I wish my turtle had more feelings and less pizza grease on its nunchucks. On the screen, the 1987 animated series is where most of us fell in love with the Turtles. Here are a few key episodes you really should go back and watch. Turtle Tracks, Season 1, Episode 1. The very first episode introducing Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, Splinter, and April O'Neil. It's the perfect primer for the personalities and dynamics of the team. Also, it's a reminder that yes, turtles can totally be ninjas, and no, your goldfish does not qualify. Another one is Season 1, Episode 2 and 3, which is Enter the Shredder. Shredder and the Foot Clan make their dramatic debut. These episodes establish the primary conflict and showcase the Turtles' teamwork in action. Spoiler, teamwork plus pizza is kinda unstoppable. Another one is the same in Season 1, Episode 8, The Old Switcheroo. Cartoon chaos, mistaken identities, and a clever problem-solving turtles. Basically, the plot you'd expect if your roommates were Ninja Turtles and also very bad at directions. Another one is Season 10, Episodes 1 and 2, and this is The Epic Begins. Later episodes show how the series matured while keeping the Turtles' spirit alive. Think of it as a Turtles version of getting a little older but refusing to stop eating pizzas. The Turtles also leapt onto the big screen, and while we won't be diving too deep into the films here, they're worth a mention for completing the Turtle experience. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hit the big screen in 1990. They kicked things off with a gritty street-level vibe closer to the original comics, but still packed with the humour and heart we loved from the cartoon. It was surprisingly faithful to the Turtles' personalities, and possibly the first time a mutant turtle high-fived a New Yorker without causing a lawsuit. And we can't forget the video games. From the 1989 NES Classic, which was impossible to complete, to the legendary arcade beat-em-up and modern reboots. TMNT games have let fans live the adventure for decades, each one packed with iconic levels, boss battles, and that unforgettable chiptune soundtrack. Just beware, extended play sessions may lead to pizza cravings, ninja poses, and quoting Michelangelo at inappropriate times. So here's your starter pack for all things Turtle Power. Start with the original comics to understand the roots, dive into the 1987 animated series for that unbeatable Saturday morning nostalgia, check out the movies if you want a mix of live action grit and CGI glory, and if you're feeling brave, grab a controller and step into the shell yourself. Just try not to trip over your nunchucks. Next time on Adam's Retro Rewind, we'll be taking a closer look at the Turtles themselves, the personalities, the weapons, and the quirks that made each one of them stand out. So grab a slice of pizza, crank up that theme tune, and get ready to meet Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, four brothers who proved that even in the sewers, heroes can shine.
I have always liked Cowabunga.